Everyone says smart investors take profits. So why do some of the smartest Bitcoin holders do the exact opposite? Why are they still holding while everyone else is looking for the exit? Are they disciplined or just delusional? Because Bitcoin has a brutal habit. The people who sell often feel smart first and regret it later. So this video is not really about taking profits. It is about something deeper. What exactly are you giving up when you sell Bitcoin? Let's be honest. There are two camps. One says, take profits, lock in gains, be rational. The other says, never sell, this is the hardest asset on earth. Both sound smart. Only one tends to age well. And that is the real conflict. Short-term intelligence versus long-term intelligence. Because selling can feel responsible in the moment. But that does not mean it was wise. This is not a hype video. And it is definitely not telling you to blindly hold no matter what. Bitcoin is volatile. It can drop hard. 50%, 60%. More. That part is real. But this is real too. Its supply is fixed, predictable, and capped. So now you have the real tension. Violent short-term price swings versus absolute long-term scarcity. And smart people do not ignore either side. They try to understand which one matters more. Average investors focus on price. Can I sell higher than I bought? Smart investors focus on position. If I sell this now, what am I actually holding instead? More dollars, more liquidity, more comfort. That sounds intelligent until you realize what you may be doing. You may be giving up a scarce asset for something that can be created at will. And that trade feels smart right up until the system around those dollars starts weakening again. That is why experienced Bitcoin holders do not obsess over 60,000, 80,000, 100,000. They obsess over something else. How much of the network do I still own? Because price moves. Position is what remains. And once you lose position in a scarce asset, buying it back is rarely as easy as people pretend. Now let's challenge the other side. Because selling is not stupid. Sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes it is wise. You sell to reduce risk. You sell to rebalance. You sell to fund real life. You sell to sleep at night. And pretending otherwise is how people get destroyed. If you have ever watched Bitcoin collapse after buying it, you already know this. Conviction sounds powerful until the chart starts attacking your confidence. So yes, taking profits can be smart. That is true. But it is only half the truth. Because the real question is not whether selling can be justified. The real question is this. What are you selling, and what are you moving back into? That is where the conversation gets much harder. In most markets, supply responds to demand. More buyers, more supply. Bitcoin does not work like that. Demand can rise, tension can rise, institutional access can rise, and the supply still does not care. That changes the entire game. Because when you sell Bitcoin, you are not just selling an asset. You are giving up exposure to a fixed network that more people are trying to access over time. And that is why the real risk is not just volatility. The real risk is regret. Because buying back in later sounds easy when you say it. It feels very different when the market moves without you. That is what people underestimate. Holding through volatility is hard. But re-entering after you sold too early is often harder. So here is the uncomfortable question. If Bitcoin is truly scarce, why do so many people still treat it like something disposable? This is where most people stay too shallow. They watch price. Smart money watches access. They ask better questions. Can institutions buy it? Can funds hold it? Can major capital pools enter without friction? Can the doors keep opening while the supply stays fixed? That is the part that matters. Because once access expands around a scarce asset, the asset changes. Not in code, in perception, in legitimacy, in demand pathways. And that creates a strange setup. More ways in, same limited supply. That is why long-term holders hesitate to sell. Not because they are emotional, because they can see the structure changing around the asset. And smart people pay attention when the rails get bigger, but the thing riding on those rails does not get less scarce. This may be the biggest difference of all. Smart Bitcoin holders do not just hold and hope. They build their life so they are not forced to sell conviction at the worst possible time. They keep cash reserves. They lower unnecessary pressure. They separate short-term survival from long-term positioning. Because once you see Bitcoin as a long-duration asset, the question changes. You stop asking, when should I sell? And you start asking, how do I avoid having to sell this too early? That is a completely different mindset. One person is reacting to price. The other is designing around permanence. And over long periods of time, that difference becomes massive. Now imagine this. You spend years studying Bitcoin. You understand the supply cap. You understand the halving cycle. You understand the expanding access. You understand why institutions keep moving closer. And then you sell it for more currency inside a system that can expand the currency whenever it wants. That is not always profit. Sometimes that is just relief. Sometimes that is just fear wearing a suit. Sometimes that is just giving up something scarce to feel safe inside something abundant. So do smart people sell Bitcoin? Of course they can. But not casually, not blindly, not just because the chart went up. And not without understanding the cost of exit. Because the biggest Bitcoin mistake is not always buying too late. Sometimes it is much worse than that. Sometimes it is selling something scarce for something abundant right before scarcity matters most. That is why smart people do not rush to sell their Bitcoin. Because they know the asset is volatile. But they also know what is on the other side of that trade. And sometimes the safe option is just the more familiar mistake. So let's make it brutally simple. What is smarter long-term? Take profits early or protect your position in the scarce asset. Comment one line only. Take profits or protect the position. And if you want the next video, I will make the darker follow-up. Why the rich borrow against Bitcoin instead of selling it.